Matthias, welcome in,
Yeah.
and welcome in for all those who are coming to the channel for the first time. So, Matthias, you're going to give an intro first, but actually, Matthias just finished my 13-week coaching program just a few weeks ago, I believe. And today, we're just here to learn more about you, man, just your experience, and then just talk
Yeah.
about all things spirituality, business, sales, and everything that we've experienced in this journey this last 3+ months. So, Matthias, thanks for coming on, and just want to telling everybody a bit who you are and even how do we meet? Like, what was the kind of intro story to all of that?
Yeah. We actually met on a sales call where I was on the other side of it, and you were actually interested in this program, whatever, and then you ended up joining, and that's how we met the first time. Which even that first time, because it was to help the coaching business. I remember that when you were telling me like what you do in the work in your work, I was already had a kind of a feeling of yeah, this guy's actually on it, like knows his stuff. It's not like there's proper depth behind it. And then yeah, a little bit about myself. Do sales, so I close for or sales manage for offers in the coaching, consulting, info space, all that good stuff. And um, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so Matthias is the head of sales for a really prominent person in our whole, online coaching space named Jeremy Pogue, and that's how we originally met. Is he helped me enroll into his program.
Yeah,
He helps
exactly.
with marketing and things like that sort, and the business side of coaching. But we really just got started talking in Miami. So,
Yeah.
what was it about during that period during Miami that what is it that made you want to just like jump into this work, just get started? What was the initial, yeah, pull?
Interesting. Well, in Miami, I had the luck and a chance to speak with you, meet you in person, right? And by meeting you in person, having some conversations around spirituality in general, and then going just a bit deeper into the sort of work that you do, right? I knew that it was it was the right thing. Like I think thought about it. It came to my mind for a split second of like, oh, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, yeah. And then I told you right there and there on the spot. Like it came to my mind. I told you, we did it. That's it. Um, because I knew it was an absolute like non-negotiable in a sense, but not really. More so, it was needed. Like it's something that I believe everybody, from my experience, can get a tremendous amount of value and and meaning from in all sorts of ways. Like you can really enrich in your life in every way, shape, or form possible. Like I knew it was like a net positive, point blank. That's the thing. That's the thing. My non-negotiable was just like net positive. I was like, yeah, no reason why not to do it. And then we did it.
So now that we've done it, just give
Yeah.
everyone the juice that they want to hear. It's like after 13 weeks plus, you've been doing inner work, not only during our sessions, but just out in daily life at conferences you've told me about with helping friends. What have just been some of the biggest changes,
Yeah.
breakthroughs, things that have happened on that journey for you?
Truth,
What
yeah.
would you say?
Well, one is actually understanding certain blockages and emotions that I had for myself that also caused quite a bit of suffering for me personally over a good amount of years and everything else. And figuring out what was the root cause of that and understanding the actual nature of these emotions and of fear and everything else and how the entire world works. And and then yeah, because then it's not a some sort of whatever scary thing you don't understand. It's like you know exactly, like you have a you you know what it is, and then therefore you can put your awareness into it, and then yeah, it just like dissolves it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So for people who are like not even aware of, they're not even used to these terms like blockages, energy blocks, things like that. How could you tangibly describe it to like concretely what you were maybe experiencing either somatically, how it affects the psyche, and when you
Right.
actually break through it, what is that experience like?
Right. So what I felt before working with you, even now, it's not like it's like completely like melted away, obviously. It's that in certain instances with maybe some people that triggered it, whatever, could be a new person, a old friend, this family, whatever, could be whoever, but that for some reason projects some insecurities of yours in some capacity. And I would find myself kind of like the whole, my whole mind and consciousness, it's kind of like fogged. Like it feels like there's like everything, it just has a different lens to it, right? Has a different lens to it, has a different texture to it. And and it's like stained a bit. It's like something's off, and it's and and it call and at the same time with all with that sort of like perspective and feel, I felt like really blocked, like genuinely constrained and not completely free to be and act and everything else. So if I was finding myself being like self-conscious, right? And being maybe going in my own head and then being there and having all these thoughts that I wasn't even like completely aware of, but having all these thoughts and feeling all this like fear and like pain and suffering and all that inside. And you just like, and you become like, I just found myself these places were like really like insecure in a way inside, right? And 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 it's funny. One thing I realized with you is like when you really go to the bottom of it, it was all a belief of, well, it goes deep. Of course, the rabbit hole goes much deeper, but just for the sake of it, is of not being good enough. And and what it was is like for 2 3 years, like I would find myself in that sort of position and like that fear and pain, all that stuff, and then maybe it would just like disappear and go away, and it just like felt like waking up, and like, oh no, that was all like right. It's like you just wake up, you look around, you're like, oh, actually, I am free, I'm good. But I wasn't like consciously thinking about this, but I was just like noticing. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And with you, I actually understand it to a better, much better extent, and that
Yeah, I
helps.
appreciate you sharing that. I remember when we first met in Miami, you went up to me and you're kind of the head figure in this community that we're a part of. It's a community of online coaches. There's about probably almost 100 of us, honestly. In Miami, there's about 50 and really top guys in business, 6 7 figure plus entrepreneurs. And I remember, you wanted to say something in the group, but you went up to me and you were
Yeah.
kind of like, there's just something kind of stopping me. And I don't know what it is. It's very invisible. And
Yeah.
we kind of, talked about it a bit. You actually ended up kind of pushing through it. We're talking about masculine energy and actually, really
Yeah.
making this incredible remark. And then funny enough, next mastermind, 3 or 4 months later, you're actually giving a public speech, one of the head figures, in front of this group of 50 people.
Truth.
So can you talk about just about,
Truth. Yeah.
actually working through these
Absolutely.
blockages? Maybe some of them are deep
Absolutely.
fears, traumas we get of not being not good enough. What does it feel like, experience like on the other side, having gone through the work, gone through the shadows?
It feels absolutely freeing at certain points complete bliss. Um, but freeing is the most accurate word, I believe, because it's literally like that. It's literally like you're walking around the whole time with a backpack on with like rocks and stones and all that stuff you're carrying, and then you just like drop it, and then you're like, oh wow, I can run so much better. I feel so much better now. And it's like, and you're so much faster. You're just like so much more just free. And you're so like everything is so much better. And then yeah, it's also heavy though. It's also very heavy. It's also like very, very like it's not for the you gotta have some sort of want and cur- openness to explore and really go in those places because it's not like it is also really heavy. But even there, I think like I don't think there's many other options.
Say,
If
say
you
a bit
don't,
more about that. That's an important point.
yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. That's a really important point. I agree. It's that, yeah, even if you don't want to go to those places, it's not like they just disappear. Like you still have them, and then they show up in every sort of ways in your life, in all sort of instances, and with all sorts of people where you don't want it to show up, but it does.
Can you talk about that a bit? So, as Matthias mentioned, he works in sales and he spends
Yeah,
all day long working with people, right, in various
yeah,
forms. You're in the people business. Could you talk about like just thinking back before doing this work? You know, you're doing sales calls. It's all energy. It's all people. What was it like before versus now, having actually kind of broken through some of this stuff? What kind of changes do you see in yourself, your experiences, maybe in yeah, just the sales itself of
yeah,
having done
yeah,
this kind of work?
yeah, absolutely. Fuck, so much to talk about. So much. For example, that you like on sales calls, I've noticed how, again, if you're more free, if you're not constrained, if you're not in your own head, if you're not self-conscious at times, or even a sales call with a certain person, it doesn't go the way you want it. You're not, don't start like, it doesn't mean anything about you. Like you just it doesn't hit in the heart like that much, like anymore, right? Because just understanding, you just like let it go, like really learn to live with a different sort of paradigm, right? And and what are some tangible kind of changes and impact that has is that I can speak now to a business owner doing well, whatever, like that doesn't even matter the numbers. I can speak. The fact is, I can speak to anybody, and there's like no projection of oh he's better than me. I'm not good enough for like oh this is that. It's all bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. And yeah, so and when you're that free, you don't not in your own head and everything else. Guess what happens? Most likely is your performance is so much sharper and smoother and powerful, right? Because you're also authentic on calls. You're really authentic. You're not fearful any longer. You're like just like complete there, if that makes sense.
That's a powerful point. I remember when we first started, I think our first session, a few things. One is a lot of my work is I work with the body and I'm helping people,
Yeah.
you get into the emotions of your body. And I asked you like, hey, what emotion do you feel and where do you feel it? And you basically said, I can't. And you're kind of looking up here the whole time. Point being is at this time of your life, you were very much in your head. And I remember a sales mentor told you that, hey, Matthias, it's kind of time to get more into your heart, like get out of your head into your heart. And you knew what that meant, but you didn't quite know how to do it. And so one of, now it's like, I'm like, hey, where do you feel an emotion? You're like, boom, right here, because you're in touch with yourself. So making that journey from being in the head, the false safety of the mind to your heart, your body, resting there in the security of who you are. What's that like to be just operating from that place?
Yeah. Yeah. it feels more, and they sound like buzzwords. I don't want to make it sound like buzzwords, but it's because we're talking spiritual, right? It's like hard sometimes to really shed light on the impact that it had on one's own view and one's own perspective, right? Because it just feels more, everything's more aligned. It feels right. It's like you're more. Oh yeah, even like things like, well, this is actually very fucking big. It's like joy, just presence that you can go for, I don't know, 2 days with with the with your girl that you love with your whole heart, and you can actually completely detach your mind, and you can just be there instead of whatever BS you're thinking you're trapped in your head, right? Of like work and this and this and that, whatever. So I think comes much more joy, presence. It just feels more like truth, like living that.
Yeah, you said a key word there. You're talking about alignment, and I remember
Yeah,
as you started doing this work, getting more into your own heart, and then therefore knowing who you are.
yeah,
There's even one. Um, you started actually making changes to the offers you were on. I think there's one that you felt not too aligned with it. I think it sounds like
yeah.
you kind of did
That's
away
correct.
with it. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah, I
about
did. I
that?
did. I did. Yeah, I did. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, it's the same pattern. It's over and over. It's like I had this offer where like was not aligned, and but then I was like in my own head of like, fuck, like, do I like what happens if I leave it? Then what are the other people gonna think of me? Or fuck that I didn't like try as hard as I could have, or whatever. But it really, but it's like I didn't want it because like it was just not aligned for whatever like those reasons, and then once I was able to actually shut down the noise, right? Yeah. It's like was able to shut down the noise. Then it was like so clear to me. I was like, oh no, this actually like I was just like again, it's like that fucking fog and everything just melts away and you see everything and you're like, oh, all right. Like you just like literally feels like you're waking up. You're like, oh. And and then yeah, and then after that I left it and there was no like nothing. All that was all fear. It was just all a illusion of fear of different things, but it was all illusion. Like it's not true. It's not real.
I like the adjective you used of like awakening, right? And I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah.
So I've my actual group's called the Awakened Entrepreneurs. And the idea behind it, right, is like this is awakening work because it's these heaviness, these contractions, traumas, illusions that blind us to who we really are. So the essence of the work is to
Yeah.
pierce through that and to let all that go. And we kind of that's how we discover ourselves and who we are. And that's
Yes.
why you said it's like you let the clouds go and you're like, oh damn, there's all this peace and
Yes.
joy. Yeah.
You said one other key thing there, like very good words, which is like the heaviness, and if you feel like like we talked about the freedom that you feel, but then it's you feel light. You feel lighter,
That
and that's
heaviness itself, how long do you think you've been carrying on to that before, actually letting it go?
I don't. Well, one is I don't think I've let it go fully. I think it's gonna be a lifelong journey or something.
Yep.
But for clarity, it's like in 3 months, it's been a complete breakthrough, of course, right? And that heaviness before that, it was all the same, no real, like maybe made little improvements because I did some deep work, by the way. I did some deep work. I told you a year before, right?
Hmm.
In summer 2024. I did some internal work and everything else with the guy. It was also a very, very good guy, like great guy, and great work. And I think thanks to that, I was also able to yeah, appreciate and know, like, and make the decision of like, yeah, I know there's stuff there. I know I have to go there. Like, I had enough awareness of what's like of the nest of snakes that is lying in your psyche, and then and so it made the decision to work with you very easy, right? But I think that heaviness, like all that, all those blockages, all that good stuff, probably for like, I don't know, like 7, 8, 10 years, whatever. Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
Um, I want to
Come
talk
on.
about sales a bit. Like, with sales, right? The greatest fear of salespeople, well, it's always what you tell me.
Well, um, well,
The
ultimately it's gonna
surface level
be some
fear.
sort of rejection. Yeah,
Yeah.
some sort of rejection.
Yeah. And so this is always where I start off with people who are in kind of sales positions, at least professionally. But
Yeah.
having actually done this work, why is it that that rejection is just like it keeps so many salespeople in their heads, overthinking, stressed out? What is it when we actually get to the root of things? You talk
Yeah.
about the root. Well, what is it actually behind the scenes that is causing all that surface level pain?
It's ultimately the fact that you're some you're like kind of a little bit trapped in a way, right? And it doesn't mean you're trapped all the time. Like, of course, it means that you still have joy and presence in your life and everything else. Like, I was not miserable. I was living a great life, right? But these do, of course, come up, and you are kind of trapped in that illusion. And that the root is that, well, some sort of feeling of not being good enough. Because if you're not good enough, then okay, then you fear that other people are gonna judge you as not good enough. Whether it's the other person on the call, or whether it's the fucking no, colleagues or other people, or this, that, whatever. You feel like you just fear of judgment if they think like if everybody in a tribe, fucking tens of thousands of years ago, like everybody was judging you as you're not good enough, then what they're gonna do? They're probably gonna get abandoned and you're gonna die, and then that springs out all the fear and all the heaviness that is not true, because it's not true that you're gonna get abandoned, you're gonna die and all that stuff, and you're gonna be like, it's like you're good.
Yeah, it's all these primitive fears in the back of our minds, ancestrally passed down that unfortunately still have a very, very heavy hold on us till this day. So let me ask you this, like, again, it's a lifelong work, but you've worked through so much of it, and I've seen your confidence shoot through the roof. And even last time when I was in British Columbia, I told you your voice even changed. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that. Like, you're deeper, you're your man, you're the
Sure.
heart.
Yeah.
You're still a young guy, but you're doing all this work. Um, but oh man, I lost my train of thought. But sorry, so we were just talking, right before this, we were talking about
So the root, like
the
how
root.
it comes from the
Oh,
primitive
yes, I
fear.
know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So oft, a lot of this is like survival energy, right? Like we're trying to protect ourselves. We're worried about ourselves. We're becoming self-conscious. We don't really could be abandoned. All this fear, this worry. But when we let it go, it's like the fuel source starts to change. Like we no
Mm.
longer have to act and think from that place. And I've seen a huge progress within you with that. So when you're able to let go of these fears and relax more into yourself, how do you feel that you're able to operate a little bit differently from? Or how's that change?
Yeah, it's like you clean the channel, right? And by cleaning the whatever energetic channel, whatever word, I don't know, right? But as you clean the way, then it makes space for all that is of what is higher to flow through you. And and then yeah, because if you remove all the blocks, if you don't have fears of how other people are gonna judge you and everything else, then the status quo, you're just like you're confident, but you're not even thinking about being confident. You just like are. You just you're just good. And And so it makes you act from a place of deeper authenticity, of, again, place where you're completely free to do whatever you want, whatever you feel, whatever like in your like what your heart actually longs for, right? And you're more even creative, like things like whatever, like all in all sort of ways. Like it just like opens a world up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I want to touch upon a word that you mentioned about, there's like something higher that flows through you. I think
Yes.
that's a really incredible way that you put it. This work is, yeah, I call it spiritual work, right? And
Yes.
you're someone who, I don't know how you identify yourself as Christian or just you're deeply spiritual, but yeah, you're a very spiritual
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how, you know, a lot of what we're doing behind the scenes, we talk about God, the universe. Can you talk
Yes.
a little bit how this work impacted that? Maybe just your own relationship with God, divinity, being able to just surrender and let things go and trust more, and just
Yeah.
everything that we always talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think understanding the actual nature of fear, right, and illusion, and what that actually means. Really understanding illusion, like that's what I really understood with you. Because yes, I'd say very like spiritual in that sense, whatever, and very close to God, whatever. I can define myself a Christian or not, I don't know. I do believe in Jesus and God and everything else. And it's like understanding more of how, and we're gonna go deep here if you want to go.
Let's go.
But from my own perspective, it's like understanding better how the enemy, quote unquote, operates. Because the only way, if you think about light and darkness, right? I don't know if you brought that up to me or not. I don't remember how you came up to this, but it's like if you think about light and darkness, one may think that they're opposites, right? But are they though? Because like, can you turn on a dark switch in your room? If there's light in a room, can darkness come in? No, they can't. You can just shut off the light. Or what can you do? You can put a block in front of the light, and then light is still there, but it just doesn't pass through. And so there's darkness. But it's just because light is distorted or blocked. So when you understand illusion, you understand fear, the nature of it, and everything else, you understand how the enemy, whatever you want to call it, whatever concept you have of it, um, the only way that he can block you from living your, in my eyes, in my view, your destiny, right? Or like true calling and mission, right? And is to distort. There's literally no other way. But when you're aware of that, you can dissolve delusions and the blocks and distortions, and you just know there's light all the time. And you just make, again, then you clean up the channel, right? You clean up the channel, and then like light is there shining and
I love the way
free.
you put this. Just to tie it back together for people, to make this concrete about the work and how it
Oh,
works. So like we are the light, right? You hear this a lot, but like, we are the light. And so this darkness you talk about, right? It's these traumas, these obstructions, these illusions that we're not good enough, we're less than, whatever the belief illusion may be. Can you talk about a little bit to people about, like I always have, shine your light with your awareness, and dissolve the darkness. Like
yeah.
that may seem super abstract to people. Can you talk about like even tangibly, what does the work look like implementing what we just talked about, like with actually becoming more of that light and yeah, dissipating that darkness?
Yeah, it's literally a matter of being aware of the blocks, the fears, the emotions, whatever it may be for the person, right? Become aware of it and then you just sit with it and you feel it to and through. You just put your awareness on that and you just rest as that, right? And when you rest there, what happens is, after a while, and you can literally, like, as you start doing the work, probably, like, as you mentioned at the start, on my own head, and I couldn't, like, really feel, like, in my body any sort of capacity. Now I can, right? And it's like, and when, or at least to a better extent, and you're literally gonna feel like in your heart and in your body pain or fear, like all that stuff, and you just feel it. And as you feel it, as you rest as that, it you notice that it starts to dissolve and it starts to become lighter. It starts to just disappear, right? Very slowly or gradually. And then yeah, and then you're able that way, like by this is tough to explain, but I think we got it. Is that you can by just feeling it and sitting with it, you really like letting it go by letting it be, because you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to change the emotion or anything. You're just like really feeling it through and through. But as you do that and you just let it be, it's like at a certain point, it's like literally dropping it and it just disappears. And then there's like your state, and you just end up in a state of absolute bliss, of freedom and lightness, right? And then yeah, and then there's all sorts of works we did with actually then you go even deeper, right? Because then there's also fears around the fear. Like I this is actually I had this is actually huge, really fucking huge. Which was that for me, I even had a fear of the fear itself. Like I didn't want that fear to come up. And when it did come up in when I was at I don't know, whatever events, this thing, that thing, I could feel that, but I just like my mind would just clash, right, against it and try to like wrestle with it and change it and whatever, and because I didn't want to feel that way, and so I was just like battling with it, but I was scared of going to that place. I was scared of if I go to that place and I'm in that zone of like fear and everything else, then like all like it's a whole spiral, right? It's a whole maze, and as you dissolve the fears around it, you're able to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to the actual root of it, and then you dissolve that too, and then you're just like, yeah, free.
Yeah, you explained it very well. I've got a curious question for you. I was thinking about,
Yeah.
so you based on the program you work for, right? One of the offers doing sales is you work with coaches day in and day out, all sorts of coaches, hundreds of coaches
Yes.
that talk to you each day to improve their business. And maybe
Yes.
these are fitness coaches, make more money. And these are all people that help people, whatever, improve their lives in some aspect. And these people are looking for something. Would you say is, and maybe a lot of these things, especially in our world, like the business, sales, it's like it's a strategy device, get better at sales, marketing. It's very concrete, right? It's like do this, make more money. And this work's a little bit more intangible. And what would you say the main difference is between this work? Why, to those who are not familiar with this, like why is that inner work so important to, beyond all the strategies, beyond all that kind of, those kind of things?
Well, because you just again, I think it's a literally only a net positive, because then you're in a position when you let go of the fucking rocks that you're carrying on your backpack, right? You can, whatever you do, whether it's content, sales calls, leading a team, right? Like I right now sales manager and I lead a team of like 7 people, right? And and even that like is completely unlocked. Like I feel it's just an amazing experience. And it's like adding a different fuel, and yeah, as you said, it's operating from a different energy source, and that just like permeates everything that you do in your life, work, but even outside of work, like even like personal relationships and all that good stuff, right?
Yes.
Permeates absolutely everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, and that fuel that you unlock
Yeah. I'd be
without
curious to
working
ask you
on that
as well.
stuff.
Like, sorry.
Yeah. No, no, go on, go on.
So like, talking to coaches all day long, right? You're kind of going through, yeah, their problems, right? That's what sales is you're helping them discover what's their own blocks, right? What's preventing them from success in their own life. It's very similar work of
Yeah.
internal
Yeah.
questioning. And
True.
maybe sometimes it is like maybe they got a sales problem, maybe there's a marketing thing, and there's like some logistical thing they haven't figured out. But how often the time just working with these business owners would you say it's actually them that's the problem? Like they're getting in their
No,
own
no,
way
I
of their
would
own
say no,
success.
no, I would say like all the time. No, no, like this I'm 100% sure of. Like I saw it firsthand, like everything stems from, if you're a business owner and you're a leader, right? Like your business is literally gonna be an absolute reflection of yourself. 100,000%. And not just like, yeah, it's also of course like very practical in terms of like the inputs that you give to it, right? But if you're acting from all these places of like fear and survival and this thing and that thing, it's gonna reflect on your business 100,000%, 100 million%. And even a matter of like, because like when you let go of the blocks, it's like let's say you have a significant goal, right? You want to get to X number, you want to get to 100K a month, 200K, whatever the fuck, right? When you let go of all the rocks and you let in the backpack and you pull away all, you drop all illusions and act from that place of act from that higher place, like achieving goals like that feels more like literally as if I would walk, like it's just pure intention. Let's say if I wanted to go, I don't know, buy go and get a coffee at a bar like 10 minutes from my house. I'll be like, yeah, I want to go there. Okay, I would just like walk there. I would go there. There would be no block of like, can I do it? Can I get to the coffee thing? Can I? There's nothing there. It's just like pure intent, right? In the same capacity here, when you want to achieve like big goals, big things, whatever it may be for you personally, right? Um, it just feels like, that's literally right in front of there, right there, and you can just walk as that, if that makes sense.
It does. I got a similar question for you, and people probably can't tell because you're very sharp, you're very wise and successful experience, but you're a young guy. And so I have actually, I do work with a lot of really young, successful guys from this industry, Silicon Valley. And I think a big thing that young men are facing is they're looking to figure out how do you really grow as a man. And so a lot of this
Mm.
work that we're doing, right, we're revisiting childhood traumas,
Oh yeah,
things
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
boyhood that obviously hold us back, right? Like it keeps us stuck there a bit. And so we let that go, we break through as a man. And I
Yeah.
remember when I met you in British Columbia, I was like, who is this guy? When I hugged you, because your voice was so much deeper and
Yeah.
your shoulders are broader. And that's just a reflection of doing that inner work. And now so many guys and kind of are feeling a bit lost nowadays with masculinity and they look to people like Andrew Tate and they're all going to improve their fitness and make money. And those are all maybe fine things in the past. But what could you say about just kind of going down those paths versus also just actually doing the inner work that can actually help just young men really develop themselves? What could you just say on that whole topic?
Great question. Yes. 100%. What I would say to that is that again, when you clear all the bullshit, then you have clear vision and intention, and it's true. It's like your actual true calling and like what you truly feel in your heart. And it just lets go of all the what everybody else like could think or whatever. Because like, and I find myself like being caught up in those type of loops, pendulums, you want to call them that, whatever you want to call them, where I see a lot of, yeah, young men in this case. Maybe they say, oh yeah, when I get to, oh, want to make 100K a month and have the, whatever the fuck it is, the Rolex, the this, the that, and and the girls and all that stuff. But it's like, is that what you truly want? Like, is that what truly your heart longs for? Or is that something was that you think you want or that you should want, and that was programmed by your environment and influences you may have? Let's say a guy watches Andrew Tate, whatever, right? Watches Andrew Tate, and is like, oh, I gotta be this way, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, woman this, woman that, whatever the fuck. Um, and and then you're acting from a place where it's just like everything is just distorted. It's like it's bullshit. Like you're operating on a story from somebody else and not your own self. And and again, I think when you let go of that and you come closer to what is at your core, you find so much more meaning and fulfillment in your life. And maybe you don't have to make 100K a month. Maybe you don't have to buy the Rolex. Maybe you don't even want to. Maybe you're good with fucking, I don't know. You actually figure out you want to do this other thing, right? You actually want to grow the business this way. You act from a different place. And yeah, and you're free of all the conditioning or influences of like what this guy says you should like, that you put this person on a pedestal, you're worshiping this ideal that is a bad, ultimately, well, it's, yeah, again, deep topic, but it's not your higher self, or it's not from God. It's from this guy on the internet or whatever else it may be. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's just,
Yeah, beautifully put. I think the biggest reason young men, particularly actually most men, people are just disconnected from themselves and what they actually want is they're not in touch with their emotions. And so when I start off with people, right, even yourself, it's like we get pushed into our head because we think that's where it's safe, rather than being in our bodies and our heart where we actually feel emotions. And if we can't feel our own emotions, we can't really be in touch with other people as well. And that is a huge thing with all relationships, which is largely what sales is. Could you just talk a little bit about like actually being more in touch with yourself, being in touch with your own emotions, your own energy? And that's all really relationships, sales is energy. How does that affect everything in your experience?
so how does being more in touch with your own self and your own emotions
Yeah.
reflect into what
Sales,
specifically?
relationships, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
Well, relationships, I think you are, because you're more free, you are able to enjoy, right? Be present, have moments of bliss, have fun, have this. Like it's like, um, it just brings so much more beauty in enjoyment in your life, right? And it could be with small things. Like even that, um, with friends of mine from my hometown, right? It's like if I look back maybe a year or 2 years ago, like when I first got started, like was getting into space, making some money, whatever. I was like, maybe I would go and meet them, and it's like I would not be completely like even like I couldn't talk business with them or something because they do something else. They do university, all that good stuff, which is great. And maybe I couldn't like. I was just like more like judging them or myself in some capacity, right? And therefore I would not enjoy it. Now, like yesterday evening, I went out to meet a friend of mine that is going to Brazil for a year and everything else. And we had a beautiful dinner, 15 people. I was just there like talking to everybody, and it was just beautiful, like pure sheer enjoyment. I didn't care about work there. I was just like present, living life, right? And then in sales, how that reflects in sales is, or in business, is that you're able to bring out more of your personality, more of like your little that spark that I think everybody has, right? And that spark is just like free to go and like fucking vibrate and and shine, right? And that of course reflects also in your performance and the enjoyment that you have in your work and in your day to day, and then also brings out more like creative sort of ideas and better thoughts, and you're sharper and you're everything, like everything is just better in all sorts of capacity. And of course that fucking reflects, because if we put it into um contrast with, let's say, you're operating in the business, so you're operating from a place of fear and survival and everything else, and you're not in touch with your emotions. It's like, how are you really going to be able to operate and do the best work acting from a place? Like, it's so clear. If you look at two people, one is acting from a place of freedom and is in touch with his own emotions, in touch with his own self. Now, the other person isn't. The fruits of those are gonna like are gonna be apparent. Like, it's gonna give different fruits, right? Obviously.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
just
love
like
that. Beautifully put.
yeah,
It's like
positive.
the more we do in our work, right, we become authentically ourselves, and that authenticity is it's powerful. It's attractive. Like people, they want to connect with real people. They don't want to connect with the masks and the
Yeah,
bullshit and the programs. It's like people are they're craving realness today, and in a world especially where the opposite, the illusions are pushed so heavily in social media, TikTok, the coaching space. People want real things, real connection.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then even like in your creative act and creative being, it's like if you have to shoot content or something, right? It's like fuck, that is gonna reflect heavy, because like your personality is really gonna come out, right? Because you don't have blocks of fears, in your own head when you're talking to the camera. You're just like there. And I think that's what a lot of the people that do very, very, very well in the space have, is like when they do content or they do that stuff, they're on their own head. They're just like themselves
Yeah.
as much as possible. The more you yourself, the more people are gonna connect with you and everything else, and it's great.
Yes. I love that. I got just a few more questions for you, man, and then we'll
Absolutely.
wrap up. But the first is, for people who might be watching this, whatever industry they're in, maybe they're a CEO, entrepreneur, sales guy like yourself, and they're like, well, I don't really know if I have trauma. I don't know like if I have any blocks. Like my life's pretty good. I've got the Rolex, X, Y, Z, money, relationship. But what would you say to them? Like what kind of advice could you give them about just the value of going within, and if what they're even saying to themselves is true?
Yeah. I think I heard this from a fucking clip of a podcast a year, 2 years ago, but I think it makes a lot of sense as an analogy. It's like if you, and it's pretty brush, if that's a word, that in a if you piss in a glass and then you put all sort of things in that glass, you pour all sorts of mm, all sorts of magical things. You put water, you put juice, you put this, you put fruits, you put this. The piss is still fucking there. Like there's still something that is messed up. It's still stained, right? Um, so I think if one is in that place where it's like everything is going already good, even great, right? Um, it's just gonna it's it's just gonna add more to that. It's gonna be able to really let you go and and free yourself up of some stuff. Because like if you're not aware of that you have something, well, then most likely you really need to do it, because there's definitely stuff, right? Um, there's 100% there, 100% there's stuff, and and I think it brings out a will bring out a new understanding of your own self and your own life. And if you know yourself better, right, internally, in all sorts of emotionally, in all sorts of ways, like you really know who you are and what you are, right? Fuck, that makes for such a more meaningful life, in my opinion. So I don't know why anybody would not go there, would not go those places. I really don't see
Yeah.
any reason. Because the other reason is the other option is wise. You don't do it, and then you live a life like not truly knowing yourself fully. It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't sit too well with that.
I agree. Beautiful analogy. I'll take that one next time.
Yeah.
Um, man. I want to thank you for coming on and just sharing your experience with everybody and just all your wisdom. There's just one final question I have for, again, everyone who's watching this, and they're probably at the point where they're just about to start this journey. Maybe they started their work, but just for people watching this, what's just one last, having finished this work, what's just one last piece of advice, something you could tell them that could really just help them on their way?
That if you find yourself watching this, then probably there's a reason for it. And maybe there's a part of you that is maybe a little bit still a little bit skeptical or whatever, right? And it's fine. And it's okay. And it's supposed to feel that way. There's a part of me that was feeling that way too, right? But I would invite everybody to go within, whether it's with Madison or somebody else or some other way. Do whatever you feel like is best. I can put my absolute word and conviction in Madison and his work and the impact that he had on my life. And yeah, if you're curious, if for some reason you find yourself watching this, then there's a reason for it. And I'll just like invite you from my whole heart to do it and go there, because it's gonna be so much more than you ever thought. Like it can't be put into words here. Like it's tough even through an hour-long conversation, right? It's tough to put, like there's so much stuff we've not talked about, right? There's so much stuff that happened where it's like you can't even, like, we would need fucking 4 hours of context and everything. It's like there would be so much, right? And yeah, and if there's a part of you that is curious about all this stuff, is like, do it, because you're not gonna regret it. It's gonna be an amazing experience. It's just gonna be net positive in your life, fully. Like no reason not to do it. Fucking no reason. Whatever it costs, whatever the investment is, it's worth it. It's something you carry within for the rest of your life too, because that knowledge of yourself, nobody can take it away, right? And you just carry that throughout your time, and yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you, Matthias. I really love your word with sacred. This really is sacred work. And yeah, it is almost impossible to explain into words as much as we try, right? But nonetheless, thanks for coming on today and just sharing everybody your story, a bit how you are, your experience, and just all your wisdom. So really appreciate it, man. Thank you. And our
Appreciate
journey's
it.
not done yet. So we got all sorts of things in the work and definitely a big future ahead for the both of us. And
Yes.
I'm sure working together and all.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Madison. Thank you very much.